Hey ho, I'm called Alaric and I'm here to talk to you about the medieval Icelandic electives at the University of Leeds, or it's only one, medieval Icelandic elective. We do run two Icelandic electives at Leeds depending on what year it is. It's a modern Icelandic one and an Old Icelandic one, or medieval Icelandic one, and it's the medieval one that I'm talking to you about today. And this is just to give you a sense of what electives are for, what this particular elective might do for you, whether you'd like to take it. Just a word about electives generally then. You're coming into your first year at the University of Leeds, or at least you are if you're in my intended audience. And you've got an opportunity to study something that's got nothing to do with the degree you've signed up for. It's probably got nothing to do with stuff that you've studied previously. And it's a real just chance for you to sort of spread your wings, try something different with no kind of serious risk if it goes wrong. Not that I'm planning for it to go wrong, but it really is a kind of low risk opportunity to do something really new that you'll never have had a chance to do previously. And to me, Old Icelandic fits that bill nicely. I'll be very surprised if any of you has had the chance to learn any modern Scandinavian language or study any modern Scandinavian literature or history, let alone medieval Scandinavia. Unless maybe you did Vikings at school, you get plenty of Vikings on the Old Icelandic elective. So let me tell you a bit more about how the elective works. It divides into kind of two halves, though the two halves talk to each other a lot. One is about the literature and history writing of medieval Icelanders. The other part is their actual language that they spoke. And you get to sort of study both of those, and they kind of combine very well. As I've emphasised already, no expectation that you'll have any background in this whatsoever. It's a real opportunity for you to kind of take up something new, and the whole course is tailored towards that. Iceland was settled for pretty much the first time around 874. It's a lot later than most other parts of the world. Iceland has sort of established a society pretty much from scratch in conditions which were mostly much less hospitable than the ones I'm enjoying today. They converted to Christianity much later than most people in medieval Europe, which marked their culture out as rather distinctive. They converted to Christianity around 1000. And then by 1100 and 1200, they'd started writing histories about their own kind of time spent on Iceland. And again, Icelanders were really unusual in this. They really got into writing prose about their non-Christian past, discussing kind of where had they come from, what were they doing on Iceland. And this amazing burst of literary and historical writing in the 13th and 14th centuries, 12th, 13th and 14th centuries, provides us the material that we study on the Icelandic elective in translation. If you like literature, you'll find amazingly crafted prose tales. If you're interested in history in the past, you'll find a unique body of material giving you an opportunity to get back to what the life and thought worlds of the Viking age must have been like, as well as 12th and 13th century Scandinavia. What are these sagas, these histories and prose texts that Icelanders created tell us, or what do they sort of tell us about? What's the content? Iceland, well, if you think of modern novels or movies, they'll tend to take a very small number of characters, maybe a boy and a girl, and kind of follow them through a kind of trajectory of several events where their characters develop. Usually they get married at the end, and that's the kind of fundamental driving force of most modern literature. Icelandic literature works in a really different way. They're interested in getting a whole community and watching what happens as community members interact. They're interested in how law works, how disputes work. What happens if you've got loads of hay stored up and your neighbour hasn't? Do you lend him some or not? If you don't lend him some, what's he going to do to get yours? Law, disputes, violence are all things that they kind of work through in a kind of community setting in these texts. And they're really interested in causation. They're really interested in watching how a particular kind of cataclysmic event might come about from a really complex array of different causes, giving medieval Icelandic literature a very kind of subtle view of the world, where they're really interested in exploring why things happen and how, and whether you can do anything about it. Whether you're interested, as I say, in that as history, telling you about the past, or as literature, telling you about the human condition, it's amazing material. So that's the kind of stuff that we look at in translation, these remarkable Icelandic sagas about settlers of Iceland, to some extent old gods as well. We also learn Old Icelandic. I say learn it, you get a start at studying it That may scare you. Lots of people have very bad experiences of studying languages at school in Britain. I hated doing French at school and I wasn't very good at it either. I came to university and I hadn't had the chance to study dead languages for the first time, and it kind of takes off the pressure of having to talk to people and order ham sandwiches and understand what they say back to you. And you get to study language in a really kind of different way, in a different context. And it really worked for me, and now I do really like learning modern languages and speaking them. I really like speaking modern Icelandic. Maybe you'll have that experience too. But at any rate, the Old Icelandic elective gives you a chance to learn a language that you've never studied before, in the company of other people who've never studied it either. And you'll get to the point where you can read little bits of Old Icelandic texts pretty kind of confidently on your own, assuming you actually pay attention in the class. And of course that relates quite nicely to the literature that you're studying in translation, giving you a chance to have a sense of what that literature's like in the original. So that's what we do in the Old Icelandic elective. 50% text in translation, literature, history, 50% learning Old Icelandic. It's really fun. You get to have a kind of view of the world that you'll never have seen in any other context, and what else can I say? It'll look amazing on your CV. Alright, thanks for listening. Maybe I'll see you during the academic year.